Thank you. It's really nice to see 100 attendees here this morning. At least everybody's near the back of the room. Nobody's really moved up forward yet, so I think we'll fill out the room as the day goes on. I just wanted to start by saying thank you to the NetHope staff and the membership committee, and most of all to the NetHope membership for welcoming us into your community. Let's see, Team Rubicon was born when a 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit Haiti January 10th of 2010. On the days that followed, 2 U.S. Marines assembled a small team of veterans, first responders, and medical professionals to deploy and deliver life-saving aid to many of those in need. Today, nearly 9 years later, that small team has grown to over 90,000 volunteers worldwide. We've conducted nearly 300 response operations, and we remain committed to serving underprivileged and at-risk populations affected by disaster and humanitarian crisis around the world. In 2015, we launched Team Rubicon Global with a mission to incubate, launch, and support new Team Rubicon organizations outside of the United States. This also delivers veterans around the world opportunities to serve others where they otherwise didn't have it. Today, we have 4 additional Team Rubicon organizations outside of the United States and 4 more in pre-launch development today. So, I'd like to think we've come a long way in 9 years, and I really can only imagine where we'll be in 9 more, especially as a member of this community, working with all of you and your collective hundreds of years of experience. It's truly impressive. So, thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Adam. If you were all here yesterday morning, you saw the great video that I can't remember which one of our partners played. Was it Microsoft? Who was it that played the great video about it? Yeah, Microsoft played the great video yesterday about Team Rubicon, so you learned about a lot about them then. And because they are such a young NGO, they have a very different model than the legacy NGOs in the membership. And so I think not only is there a lot they can learn from all of you, but I'm sure there's some things you can learn from them as well. So it's great to have them on board. Would like to invite Sabina up from Dan Office. Sorry, Sabina, I couldn't get the logo to glue in this morning, so you get a blank slide. But Sabina, Dan Office was running a raffle this week, and so I'm going to let her come up and tell you about it, and we're going to pull the raffle winner.
You have to be present to win?
That's the first thing we should establish. Do they have to be present to win? Say yes. Say yes. That, next year we need to get even more raffles on Thursday morning because it might get a few more people.
So probably it will take a long time today.
You want to tell people what the raffle's for?
Yes, it's a Motorola smartphone. So we have this for this event, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, very happy to be here. It was a great week for us, and Tino and I will be here the rest of the day. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to join.
Great, thank you. I was telling Sabina last night that Dan Office did a raffle when we were in Copenhagen. It was for some sort of laptop or tablet. I don't remember, it was somebody from SOS Children's Villages that won the raffle, took it back, gave it to one of their kind of graduating kids, an 18-year-old who was coming out of one of their orphanages, and did a video about him getting it and how he wants to be a graphic designer, and he just said, now I'm on my way with this tool, and it was really, really touching. So you can do great things with little raffles. So you ready?
Yes.
Do I get to pull?
Yes, please.
I am surprised there aren't more cards in here. There should be more in here. Tommy Dillon, are you in the room?
And he's local.
I'm pretty sure I gave Tommy a bad time this morning too. Okay, Eugene Jessel from Samaritan's Purse.
Right here.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And it's, I don't know, so you can use it anywhere.
I'll make good use of it everywhere.
Great. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
guys. So, your last reminders. Please complete your evaluations. Of course, this is the group that showed up early on Thursday morning. You guys are probably the ones who are already doing your evaluations. But if you aren't, we could really use more evaluations. We're going to come up with some sort of incentive system for next year. But in the meantime, we need your just good faith to please complete your evaluations. It's very helpful for the presenters and for those of us who organize the summit to know what worked and what didn't. If you are signed up for a Friday workshop or training and your plans have changed, please get in touch with Jenna Groman. There are waiting lists for all of those, so if you are not going to be there, someone else would like to take your place. And as I mentioned yesterday, if you're still wondering how you're getting to that workshop or training, you should talk to Jenna as well, and she will tell you what the arrangements are for that. Does everybody know who Jenna is? Jenna, wave. I'm sure by now you've all been hearing from her about these workshops. Okay, today's items of note. First of all, great day planned, lots of plenaries and breakout sessions. 2 of the chapter meetings will do planning meetings at lunch. We have an amazing closing speaker. At least I'm really excited to hear him. I hope he's an amazing speaker. He's written this book that you can see the title of up there, and I think he's going to be very thought-provoking. So please come hear him at the end of the day. Lauren will do our closing and do our big reveal of where the summit will be in 2019, and you'll want to be here for that. And then, of course, we will have an appropriately themed reception, happy hour, following that out in the exhibit hall that is sponsored by Open Systems. So, great day on tap, and glad you're all here to experience it. The next thing I'm going to do is bring Lauren up, and she's going to introduce our first speaker of the morning.
I think it's awesome that I get an applause for just being the guy that introduces someone who's actually worth listening to. Thank you all for being here this morning. I'm glad everybody had a good time last night. I certainly had a good time last night. And it was nice to see everybody have the opportunity to relax. It's been a very busy week, and enjoy a Guinness or 2 or 7 or however many drink tickets you were capable of swiping from your colleagues. I kept finding them on the ground. And people would just drop them, and I'd say, did somebody drop a drink ticket? And the number of people who said, that's mine, was actually pretty impressive. So I'm glad we all had a good time, and I'm glad that we're kicking off today as well. So I am thrilled this morning, actually. Why do I keep saying that? I am thrilled, actually. I am actually thrilled. I am actually very happy to have Alex Salazar from Okta join us this morning. Alex is the VP of Products, Developer, and Integrations Ecosystem at Okta. More importantly, perhaps, from a personal perspective, I had the chance to talk with Alex a couple of weeks ago when I was at Okta about what he was going to talk about this morning in the Okta relationship with the sector and the way that they are investing and the perspective that Okta brings to this question of digital transformation. And I had the pleasure of going to Okta, who was an early partner in our work with the Center for the Digital Nonprofit, and have been really critical in helping us think not just about the technology side, but really about the development of culture inside an organization and the way they support their people and their staff, and the way that they think about their partnerships with other companies, and then their partnerships inside the company. I had the chance to go down at Aaron's invitation and see an Okta All Hands, where we were talking about some of the investments that Okta for Good has made into the nonprofit sector, and share some perspectives on that. And it was really fascinating and heartwarming to see a company that has grown so quickly, that has done such important work, that is making such a footprint, really have this wonderful, vibrant culture, and see that on display. And then I got to sit down and talk with Alex, and the way that they approach their people support and their people development, and it was pretty obvious why what I had just experienced was really part of the culture of Okta. So I hope that his comments this morning bring that to life. I know his comments will bring that to life, and I hope that you enjoy this presentation. Alex, let me bring you on up and turn it over to you.
Good morning. So the United Way has been around for over 100 years. And in the San Francisco Bay Area, they were the standard for how organizations enabled their employees to give to charitable foundations, charitable organizations. But as donor demographics and expectations started to change, a new organization called Tipping Point was created in the Bay Area. And Tipping Point was bringing innovation to the same service. They were bringing a data-driven approach, more transparency, more tracking, deeper insights for the donors to see where their money was going and the impact they were driving. And that innovation led to them to grow in the region. And when the top 20 technology companies in the Bay Area created a $10 million grant to fight poverty in the region, that grant didn't go to the incumbent United Way. It went to the new innovative startup, Tipping Point. And the story's important because in a world of scarce resources, scarce talent, scarce funding, disruption can happen anywhere, in any industry. And we don't just see it in for-profit land, we start to see elements of it in nonprofit as well. And this is important because all of us here are here to deliver on our mission. We want to drive impact. But if we want to drive impact beyond today, be relevant tomorrow, make sure that our mission continues to thrive for the next few set of generations, we have to innovate today. I'm Alex Salazar. I'm the VP of Products at Okta. Quick note on Okta. Many of you use us and love us. We are the leader in identity management. Products that people know us for are single sign-on, provisioning, multi-factor authentication. But we also have a line of products that are specifically focused on digital transformation. We call them our API products. So if any of you ever build a mobile application or a portal for your donors, instead of you building login or password reset yourselves and managing all the security, you can instead just use us, hook us in, move faster, more securely. That's our quick plug. But myself, my job at Okta is to make sure that we're making long-term investments in innovation. So to make sure that we ourselves are driving our own mission and our own success, not tomorrow, but for years later. And from my personal perspective, I was acquired into Okta. Prior to Okta, I was an entrepreneur. I had started a company to go disrupt the very industry Okta is in, which is how Okta acquired me. And prior to that, I had the great privilege of studying at Stanford Business School, where I had the opportunity to learn under researchers who committed their academic lives to researching innovation and disruption. Now, for its part, Okta's committed to innovation even in philanthropy. So we started a few years ago, Okta for Good, our charitable foundation. And to really speak to our commitment to innovation and philanthropy, our largest investment to date was not to direct impact. It was to create the center of the digital nonprofit at NetHope. Our biggest commitment was not to direct impact, it was to help organizations like yours to innovate so that you can drive more impact beyond the net. Now, we're all here because we want to be on this chart, right? We want to transform our organizations to be digital organizations, to drive impact, to improve our operations, and make them all technically enabled, to make sure that every dollar we get, regardless of where it's going in the organization, is more effective and drives more efficacy. But this transformation to the upper right-hand quadrant, to become a true digital organization, it is hard. It's really hard. And as we work, as I've worked with organizations, for-profit and nonprofit, to think about how to make these transformations, there are a number of challenges that I have seen to be pretty common across industries and pretty thorny. Now, they look a little different in the industry they're in, and they definitely look different in nonprofit versus for-profit, but the big animal pictures are the same. The first issue is to make these projects successful, you have to have executive buy-in from the top. If you have that, then you also have to make sure that you're allocating budgets properly. One of my personal favorite phrases is that innovation is really about budget allocation. And this can be really challenging for organizations. The next issue is that there's more than just technology involved in these transformations. You ultimately also have to reorganize your teams. And that can be really scary for the team. It can be really challenging. I know that nobody in this room has politics. their organization. But it's a common issue to deal with. And then lastly here, these projects are not short-lived projects with start dates and end dates. Right? These are long-lived, perpetual investments. And be successful organizations have to commit to long-term iteration. And we'll talk more about this. So let's talk about executive buying. The first challenge that everyone runs into when they start going through their digital transformation, whatever they call that project, is that it's technology-driven. And because it's technology-driven, it gets handed to the CIO. And look, she can be great. She can be the best CIO on the planet. But the bigger part of this transformation is actually not really the technology. The technology piece is the easy piece. That piece you buy. The really hard part is transforming the rest of the organization. And that's really hard for a CIO to do because it's not in her department. Right? She can't go in some other department and tell them what to do. This really requires a CIO, the CEO or the board has to be executive buying from the top all the way down to the bottom. This can be a big challenge, but this can be done. A really good example is NRC, the Norwegian Refugee Council. For them, their digital transformation starts at the top. They've got their board, their CEO, executive director. They've got all the teams aligned around this. It is not just an internal alignment with a mission statement. They've been very public about it. If you go onto their website and you look at their ambitions for the next 3 years, their mission statements, being a leader in data and technology is one of them. And the whole organization understands it. Ask anyone there, they'll know. And for any donor, for any stakeholder, for any recipient of care who cares enough to go look at what they do, it's on there. That's important, and that can be done. The other challenge, even if you have alignment, is budgets. And this can be particularly thorny in nonprofits, because so much of your budget is already earmarked for impact when it arrives. Many donors are giving you money specifically to deliver the impact that you exist for. And it can be challenging to find resources to go fund these digital initiatives. And it's particularly difficult because these initiatives are really expensive. Digital transformation is going to cost your organization millions of dollars a year. Forever. And that's a big transition for how you're doing business today. And it's very hard to explain to a major donor or a board member who's there for the direct impact that they're going to be investing in something that's going to take years before they start to see the impact of. Right? These projects are going to take 2 to 3 years before you start to see any real return on investment. And that can be very challenging for people who just aren't used to thinking about your organization in that way. It can be also challenging because your core operations, what is driving impact, is in desperate need of funding forever. It will never not be in desperate need for funding. So there's an organizational battle of, hey, I know you need this money to go have impact and impact lives, but we need to allocate some of it over here to make sure that we can impact more lives in 3 to 5 years versus tomorrow. Now this too can be done. There are 2 organizations that have taken 2 different approaches on how to handle this. The first is Compassion International. I love their model. It's really straightforward. For every dollar you give, a penny is already pre-allocated to long-term investments by default. This is wonderful because what happens is now you are setting the expectation with your donors that their money is not just going to direct impact, it's also going to investing in the future. There's no longer a question, there's no longer a debate, there's no longer having to go and explain to your board or other people that there's this big project that we want to go fund separately. Now there's a funding pool that's already pre-allocated. Now is it 1%, is it 2%, is it 5%? That's ultimately up to your organization, but this model is simple and powerful. Another model, which I think is interesting, is charity water. So charity water, puts wells in villages that don't have access to clean water. And their model's really interesting. All the individual donations, if you or I went onto the website tomorrow and donated, all of that money would go to direct impact, right? Specifically to putting wells in the water. But when they go and raise money from corporate donors, that money goes to their operations, to their longer-term investments, to making their operations more efficient and more effective. Now, these are just 2 models. I'm sure there are many more models, and it's up to your organization to find a model that works. But the point here is that it can work, but more importantly, this is an investment that needs to be made. It will be too hard to go every single year finding millions of dollars to go fund these perpetual projects. So, you've got executive buy-in. You've got perspective on budget allocation. You're good to go. Now you start. The problem now is your organization. This is the hardest part of digital transformation. When you start with digital transformation, it starts with technology. You're going to start building a website or a mobile app, or you're going to change how information is delivered or how you raise money. Some aspect of your business is going to start to move online. And that is going to drive a change in the rest of your organization. And that can be really scary for people who are in those departments that are going to get impacted. And what's also challenging is that it requires a new kind of talent. Right? It requires software developers, product managers. You may not have those on your staff today. And those people are really hard to hire. And it's very hard to outsource this over the long run. And so you're going to run into a recruiting problem. But once you get over that recruiting problem, now you've got an influx of new people with new skill sets, talking a different language, who are brand new to your organization. And they're probably going to run a little young. And it's going to be really scary for other parts of your organization when a 27-year-old is coming in and ultimately a tremendous amount of the budget allocation is being moved to their department. And at some point, I guarantee you, a 27-year-old engineer is going to talk to someone in your organization for 27 years. And they're going to talk about how this person who just showed up is going to radically transform your operations. They're going to usher a new future for your organization. And that person who's been there for 27 years is going to feel very good. They're going to be confused. They might be threatened. They might just be frustrated with this person that just got here and is now telling them how to do their job. And it gets even worse when that team, whatever you end up calling that team, starts to actually drive impact and actually does start to change how things operate in your organization. Teams are going to get up at you. Some people and some teams might become irrelevant, might become obsolete. You have to deal with that. It's very challenging. What's worse is that these new initiatives are going to have to fight for relevancy within your organization, no matter how much alignment you have. Because your core business is still going to be the majority of your operation, and it's always going to need more resources, it's always going to need more money. And so how do you protect these new teams from being subsumed by your core operations? Right? How do you protect them and make sure they continue to get the right level of funding, the right level of attention, the right level of leeway, that the rest of the organization is bending to the changes that they need to make? It's very challenging. Many organizations, for-profit and non-profit, have failed on this issue alone. Very public. But it can be done again. One of the recommendations that we make, which is what we've seen work more easily, it's still very hard, we've seen work more easily, is to separate these teams. Physically and logically. Maybe put the team in a different floor, different building, different city, different country. By doing that, you get a few benefits. If you move into a different city, you might put them in a place where there are higher concentration of the kind of talent you need. Software developers, product managers. Places like Silicon Valley, Berlin, Argentina, Eastern Europe. By separating them, you also help to minimize some of the friction that you are likely going to incur by having these two teams have different perspectives. You might even consider having different cultures for these teams. Hard to fathom, but sometimes effective. And this has been effective. A really good example is Walmart. Say what you will about Walmart. Walmart went through this transition. You know, the largest retailer, I think, in the world, woke up one day and Amazon.com was breathing down their neck, right? Starting to take enormous parts of the market in retail. And so as Walmart looks to see how they're going to survive and how they're going to continue being a successful organization, they realized they had to go become a major player in e-commerce. Now to put that in context, when you think the scale of Amazon, for an organization that's based in Bentonville, Arkansas, who has no software developers on staff and no product managers on staff, to have the audacity to say that I'm going to become a major player in e-commerce is a very big bet, a very big move. And you can't do it in Bentonville, Arkansas. I mean, there's not enough engineers in Bentonville, Arkansas. So what they did is they created an organization called Walmart Labs, separate team, and they put them in Silicon Valley, where there's access to engineers. And to be successful in Silicon Valley, to attract engineers and product managers, you have to create a different culture. Right? If you ever go to Bentonville, I hope you never do. If you ever go to Bentonville, you go to their offices. It's an office with, that's not very luxurious. Walmart's culture is very much of extracting every cost they can from their operations, down to the coffee. Right? You need to pay for your coffee at Walmart. There's no free coffee because every dollar that they spend on themselves is a dollar that they are not, taking out of the cost for their customers. They have a clear mission. But if you go to Walmart Labs in San Francisco, it's very different. It looks like the lobby and the cafeteria and all the perks of Google and Facebook. It's a totally different organization. And they did that because that's what they needed to compete for this talent. And they could not have done that in the same office as Core Walmart. There would have been a riot in Bentonville if one building is treated like Google and the next building is treated like a Google office, right? Now, this example ended up working. Today, Walmart is a major player in e-commerce. They rival Amazon. They've successfully achieved this. And it's not just about the business impact they've had. It wasn't that they successfully did this. They actually had broader impact than their own operations. They've hired top talent. They've competed successfully with us, with Amazon, with Google, with Facebook, with Amazon for talent. And the technology they've built, a company that is ultimately a warehouse retailer out of Arkansas, they built pretty amazing technology, and they've open sourced a lot of it. There's technology that organizations like ours reuse. Now, this story, it doesn't need to just be like Walmart. There are nonprofit organizations that are doing this as well. Another great example, again, is NRC, the Norwegian Refugee Council. You know, when they went to create their digital team, they didn't create it in Oslo. They created it in Berlin. There's engineers in Berlin. It's easier access to talent. Now, this is the only way to do it. It's just one way. I challenge you all to think of the ways that it was working for your organizations. But we've seen this work. But this doesn't come without its problems. Managing two different teams, two different cities or two different countries is hard. And the more physically separated and the more culturally separated they are, the bigger the management is. Now, there's no silver bullet for that. That's just a challenge you're going to have to overcome yourselves. But it can be done. These companies are examples. So if you've got alignment in the organization, you found a way of properly allocating budget to these projects, and you properly organize your team to make space for these teams to succeed, the next problem you're going to run into is the fact that these are not short-lived projects. You know, digital transformation is not, oh, I'm going to create a donor portal. We're going to deliver it in March. And when we deliver it in March, we're done. It doesn't really end up working that way. When you decide to initiate a digital transformation in your organization, whether you know it or not, you've made the decision to become a software company. So whatever your organization is focused on, whatever the impact you're trying to drive, you've now become a software company. And now you start thinking like a software company. These investments are perpetual. These are long-lived, they will never go away. You are now building a new muscle in your organization. That donor portal that you're going to deliver in March, that is simply the first iteration of an infinite number of milestones for that project, and likely more projects behind it. When that first project rolls out, it's going to have bugs, it's going to have features that are missing, and you're going to be constantly adding them. And so people often talk about agility, agile methodologies, iteration, fail fast, fail cheap, fail early. This is all what software companies do. This is ultimately what we talk about when we say perpetual investments in these projects. You're going to start small and you're going to iterate until you get to where you're going to go. Now, people talk a lot about fail fast, and I think it's often misquoted. Let me give you a different perspective. Fail fast should not be a mantra. It should not be your goal. Fail fast is going to be an observation. It's going to be an expectation. Your first versions of whatever you're trying to deliver, I guarantee you are going to fail. And they're going to fail fast. And they're going to fail early, regardless of your intent. And the goal is to be persistent, to set the expectation in your organization that this is going to happen, right? To set an expectation that these projects you're committing to for the long run, despite whatever early hiccups you're going to have. To set an expectation and set a muscle for persistence, for patience, and for grit, so that when you do fail fast and you do fail early, everyone in the organization knows that you're going to then go into a grind. And you're going to grind from whatever failure you have, feature by feature, bug by bug, getting ever inch by inch closer to success until you finally get there. And it will not be overnight. It won't take 2 weeks. It won't take 10 weeks. It will probably take a number of years. So this commitment to iteration, I think, is probably one of the biggest cultural implementations that everyone has to go through as they become software companies, go deliver digital transformations. And great examples of this are healthcare.gov. I don't know how many of you are from the US, but in the US, we went through massive transformation in how we do healthcare. People sometimes refer to it as Obamacare. And a big part of this transition in healthcare, where we went, as close as we ever got to universal healthcare, a centerpiece of the strategy was a website that the citizens could come to and learn about the new healthcare program and find the healthcare they need. And I don't know how many of you have experienced this, but healthcare.gov, the centerpiece of this legislation, of this transformation, was a total disaster. Absolute disaster. When it launched, it barely worked. There were outages. The press had a field day. The opposition used it as a lightning rod to prove that, yeah, you see, this is a terrible idea, and taxpayer money is being wasted. We should repeal everything. Major problem. Major black eye for the administration if the U.S. Digital Service is building this. But you talk about commitment to iteration. That's what this organization did. They didn't stop at that failure. For years, they continued to grind out feature by feature by feature, improving it little by little, making it easier for users to find what they needed, making the uptime better, making the functionality faster, making sure that the thing could do more, so that people didn't have to go as much to the brokers or make phone calls. They could just land on the site and finish. And now today, years later, this is a working site. This is fantastic. Millions of Americans today are accessing their healthcare through healthcare.gov, despite early issues. And this model is the expectation that all of us should have for our projects. It's going to be a failure, but we're going to iterate until we be successful. And not only is that a nice thing to think, but it's also the reality that's going to happen anyways. So we might as well set our expectations, because these projects are too expensive and too strategic to just walk away after it fails the first time, or to only half invest it through that first iteration. If you don't have anything going in, you're going to wake up with very difficult challenges later on when you're still being forced to do it anyways. Digital transformation is hard. Right? To do it right, we need strong leadership from the top. We need to rethink how we do budget allocations. We need to go through really hard choices in our organizational design and our teams. And also means a fundamental change in how we think about projects and programs. Really investing in being a software company. But the reason we're all here, the reason every single person in this room is here, is because we all believe in the transformative nature of technology. Right? We're all here because we believe that if we can apply technology and transform our organizations, we can have a massive impact on the services we're delivering, on the lives that we're touching. Meaningfully touching many, many more lives, and the lives we are touching having meaningfully higher levels of impact. And so my hope for all of you, that maybe this helped a little bit as you think through your projects. And for those of you who haven't started, my hope is that you start as soon as possible, because this takes years. But if we do it and we're successful, we can have a bigger impact as a group, and we can make our organizations more sustainable in the long run. Again, not just for today, not just for tomorrow, but for multiple generations. So with that, thank you for your time, and good luck.
I'm at NetHope, and one of the things that I love about NetHope is the opportunity I get to collaborate with all of you, with the humanitarian agencies as well as the technology companies on curating the sessions for the summit. And it's been a great honor to collaborate with you on a set of discussions on a topic that I've been passionate about for a very, very long time. In fact, 18 years since the first time when I worked on a computer vision project for education as a student at the MIT Media Lab. And those of you who are familiar with the history of artificial intelligence must appreciate that that was quite a frustrating experience, because the technology was just not ready to help us solve the problems that we wanted to solve. Well, that has changed, and this is why we're here today, to talk about AI and AI for good. And we're going to do that in 3 sessions over the next 3 days, or actually 2 days. We're on the final day of the summit. In the plenary session this morning, we'll begin exploring the significance of artificial intelligence and machine learning for our sector. Later this afternoon at 1 p.m., we'll talk about human-centered ethical AI, specifically what can go wrong and how might we mitigate those issues. Also, how we can actually use AI to create a more inclusive society. And then tomorrow, several of you will join us for a workshop on AI for Good, in which we'll explore examples of applied AI in our sector and talk about one of the requirements for making AI viable for our sector, and that is data. And thank you to all of you for the input that you provided, because these sessions are based on what you've been wanting to hear about, and this is just the beginning of the discussion and collaborations that we'll have on this topic. In this session specifically this morning, I'm privileged to welcome a set of experts across the sectors, technology experts as well as humanitarian experts, those who are developing and applying AI. But before I do that, what we'll do is set the stage for this discussion and encourage you also to take a look at the webinar that we did in preparation for this discussion here at the summit, that is the Introduction to AI and AI for Good. In this session, we'll begin addressing 3 questions, and we're not going to have all the answers, and also in 45 minutes, we're not going to be able to cover everything, so I encourage you to find the speakers after the session to talk to them more about these 3 questions and beyond. The first question is around, why does artificial intelligence matter for our sector? Second is around, what should we do today? What is ready, and what can we as a nonprofit sector do today? And then if we are to do something, the third question is, what are some of the resources and expertise that are available to us, and how do we activate them effectively? So, but before I do that, what I've been told is that maybe some of you have not watched the webinar, so I should set the stage for what AI is and how does it actually work. The idea of artificial intelligence is actually as old as the modern computer architecture. We're talking about 1950s. But it's really in the last decade, the combination of 3 things that has brought AI out of the research labs into our everyday lives. First, it's lots of data. Did you know that 90% of the data we have in the world today was created in the last 2 years? The second thing, in addition to data, is the cheap computing power. This iPhone that I'm holding in my hand has twice the computing power of the old mainframe computers. And third is we have better machine learning algorithms. So what is AI? AI at a basic level is about making our actions better with predictive intelligence. And for the purposes of the discussion we're about to have today, I'll provide one of the definitions on how AI works. It all starts by capturing data. AI needs a lot of data to develop predictive models. Next step is to actually learn from that data by deriving predictions using machine algorithms. This, of course, should be based on the problems we're trying to solve. Are we trying to prevent famine by predicting crop yields? Trying to have better health outcomes by detecting diseases? Those are some